Hey, my wonderful sweet baby. So today I want to talk to you guys about how I think that Fresh and Fit podcasts could finally be over. So before we get into this, I want to go ahead and first give you guys a little bit of backstory on Fresh and Fit. So Fresh and Fit is pretty much hosted by these two guys here. This is Myron Gaines and this is Walter Weeks. The two of them come from a pretty predominant background. So Myron Gaines was previously a special agent for Homeland Security. According to Wikipedia, Walter Weeks was a local minister of agriculture. Back in 2020 during COVID, that's when Fresh and Fit decided that they were going to do a podcast together. They started everything back in October and things really officially kicked off when Myron Gaines decided to quit his job in December because the podcast was taking off. Since then, these two have had so much success with their podcast and many different viral moments. They are most notably known for bringing women onto their podcast and challenging them to every degree that they possibly can. Their controversial demeanor also caused for them to become demonetized on YouTube. And it wasn't just one channel, it was actually multiple different YouTube channels that they had with their Fresh and Fit podcast brand. These two have also been in a multitude of scandals. It seems as if every single time that these two come out and they are on top, there is always a woman that is connected to them claiming that they, have some sort of ties with them. Most recently, there was ties with Walter Weeks and a woman by the name of CJ Daisy. So this is a picture of Walter Weeks as well as CJ Daisy, and CJ Daisy is actually claiming that she is pregnant by Walter Weeks. She is alleging that she is in a relationship with him, and it is also being claimed that they have been together for over 7 years. There was actually audio footage that was claiming that Walter Weeks was begging her to get rid of the pregnancy. And CJ Daisy was actually claiming that that was against her religion and she wouldn't be able to do so because it was against her cultural norms. The two have actually sought legal profession and have gotten a lot of evidence on CJ Daisy, claiming that she is using this whole situation for money and that she's one of those types of people that does some strange things to get money. CJ Daisy claims that all of their claims are actually not true and that she is going to keep this child by Walter Weeks. Since then, Fresh and Fit have decided that they will debunk everything on their podcast. They actually brought a lawyer onto their podcast, and they have been trying to embarrass and show that CJ Daisy is a liar and that everything that she is doing is not true. They are also claiming that she lied about being pregnant, and they are also claiming that she is lying about having a relationship with Fresh. They are pretty much stating that she is pretty much doing this because she wants to blackmail them and take money from them and their brand. I just want to go ahead and say that everything that we are talking about is all alleged information, and I will go ahead and sum up my thoughts and opinions on the situation that is allegedly happening. So here's my thoughts. I've never been a fan of Fresh or Fit. I've also not been a fan of their brand, the Fresh and Fit podcast. I've actually taken the time to listen to their podcast and try to listen and see if it was something that was for me, even though their podcast is geared towards male improvement. Because I like to be the judge of what I am a consumer of. And I wanted to see if some of the things that they were saying I can relate to, or if I found them to be, something that I agree with. And I must say that a lot of what they are saying, I don't agree with at all. There may be little sprinkles of information that I'm actually like, okay, that does make sense. But unfortunately, Myron Gaines does something just completely off the wall that makes it to where the message that they're trying to portray just gets misconstrued because of how much he's trying to go viral. And I feel like that's where their message gets messed up. His goal is really just to go viral, and I feel like because he's just trying to go viral, sometimes he's just screaming and hollering for no apparent reason. Walter, on the other hand, is quite quiet on the show and doesn't really say much. So I could hardly even tell what his views are on certain issues because he doesn't really speak up, not for himself or for just the podcast in general. Now, when it comes down to this situation, I have heard the audio, and the audio doesn't seem as if it's fabricated. Yet they are claiming that the audio is allegedly fabricated. I did hear a fabricated audio on Myron Gaines's Twitter, though. That is the only time it did sound like the audio was fabricated. The only time it seemed as if there was fabrication with the audio was on Myron Gaines's Twitter. He pretty much had CJ Daisy's actual voice, but then had a strange voice that was coming in that was appearing to be Walter Weeks' voice. I felt like that was strange because if this was evidence to prove something on his behalf, why alter the video and why alter his voice? The voice that was coming from that was an English accent, and you can tell that the pitch was different. So if you're trying to help him in this case, it would be best to give all different evidence proving that this woman is lying, rather than altering any type of evidence. So CJ Daisy is claiming that she is not a woman that does anything strange for money, and truly that does not matter. The whole thing that does matter is the fact that this man was allegedly in a relationship with her or had some form of relations with her for over 7 years. And I'm inclined to believe that they did have a relationship, because if she was a woman that does some strange things for money, then why is it that this woman is hanging out with your mama? I just feel like now that they are caught up and people are finally seeing them for who they are, now they are panicking, which is now causing for Myron to say more erratic things that just don't make sense. He just recently came out with a podcast that he was doing by himself on behalf of his friend, Fit, which I'm confused as to why you're fighting so hard for your friend's battle when he is also a grown man. He can take up for his own actions, and that's something that he should have been doing from the very beginning. That's why he is in this position right now with allegedly a pregnant woman that has a baby on the way. I don't understand why Myron always inserts himself into people's situations when this really has nothing to do with him. He's claiming that this is affecting the business, but this really only affects Fit or Fresh. I don't know which one is which, but this really only affects Walter. I just feel like Myron is slowly but surely just trying to capitalize off of this situation as well, because, he is a part of the Fresh and Fit podcast. A part of me kind of thinks that this whole situation may be even fake, just because they need views and that they haven't went viral in a very long time. The last time that they did go viral was for Myron arguing back and forth with Asian Doll over something that happened years ago. And it was allegedly came out that he was a little, fruity. Bottom line, I feel like this woman and Walter are actually in a committed relationship. I think that maybe, Fresh and Fit's relationship is more deeper than business, which is why Myron's probably getting into his feelings. Clearly, this is something deeper, because you don't show, people that are just doing strange things for a piece of change around your family, especially your mother. Things probably got a little bit, deeper with them, and he ended up, doing things that happen when you go deeper with somebody, which is why they were not protecting themselves. Because if they were around each other for over 7 years, then clearly they're going to be on a deeper level than just, platonic effing. I think now after this situation, the audience of these guys are really starting to see through their BS. I was looking at a lot of people commenting towards Myron about this whole situation, and it seems like a lot of people feel like they are a contradiction, because how can you be a male improvement podcast and the person that is your co-host is actually not doing anything to be male improving as well? I feel like a lot of the men that were needing some male improvement back in 2020 have probably already found their ways. You've got to think about it. Back in 2020, a lot of people were struggling simply because of, what was going on. And a lot of people needed somebody to uplift them and make them feel better, because a lot of people were going through depression during quarantine times. So I say all that to say, I don't think that this woman is lying completely. And I don't think that this podcast will be around for very much longer, because people are seeing right through them. But that's my opinion. What's yours?